right, so welcome back to Discover Fort Smith podcast. We are here with the amazing Bridget Duncan. Hi, Bridget.
Hello.
I think I'm going to refer to you as the amazing Bridget Duncan.
The amazing Bridget. Okay. I mean, that's a way.
And we're here at the Fort Smith Regional Art Museum, which is where you work.
Yes. I'm so excited to share a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
I love this place. Of course, I'm a little biased, but you know.
Well, I mean, we love this place too. It's awesome.
Thank you for allowing us to film in here
Yes,
today.
really.
'Cause it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And we have like the Ed Pinnebacker exhibit behind us, which is all this amazing
Ed
glass.
Pinnebacker. He's amazing.
Really beautiful stuff here. Really beautiful stuff.
Yeah. An artist from Clinton, Arkansas, not too far away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So are most of your art, most of the art here, is it from this region or this area?
You know, we do have national, international exhibits every once in a while, but we are a regional art museum. So we really champion local art. And that's what sets us apart from other places, I think.
Oh, that's amazing. Just random side note, we're going to get into your story too, but
Of course.
is the art here for sale?
You know, we have an exhibition every year, which is our annual invitational, where we have artists from all over submit their artwork. And those artworks are for sale. But normally we do not sell from the galleries.
Okay.
We get people in touch with the artists themselves, and then they purchase the artwork. But that one large exhibition, this year we had over 90 participants of local, regional, even international artists kind of join in on that.
Wow.
Those artworks are for sale. But that's the one that we have a year, and, you know, helps the artists locally, but, you know, also some of it goes to RAM too.
That's great. That's great. So what do you do for RAM? What's your role here, and how does that play out on a day-to-day basis, I guess?
Yeah, well, you know, RAM's a nonprofit, so I'm a little nonprofit girly. I got a lot of hats that I wear, but most of it has to do with digital media. I am the digital media coordinator. So I do a lot of social media, website. You know, I'm the one taking pictures. I'm the one behind the camera. Not a lot of pictures of me, but I'm the one taking the pictures, you know.
I understand that.
So,
Do you do the newsletter? Do you do the RAM newsletter?
I do the newsletter.
You do a great job. I always open it. You know, as marketing people, we have to open each other's emails.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, we gotta feel like, you know, we gotta see what's going on in Fort Smith.
Yeah. Well,
but I do the newsletter. But I also do like odds and ends as well. You know, I clean up after the events. I haul those tables.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think that's the great thing about working for a nonprofit is that, you know, your work means so much. You know? So it's for the community.
Well, and you're also an artist yourself.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Right?
Yes, I am. You know, I do a lot of illustrations, so that's separate. But I do enjoy it, and I do enjoy talking about art for my job. But I also enjoy creating outside of work. And
When did you discover that I like making art or doing illustrations?
You know, it's just one of those things. Whenever you grow up, you just say, I'm an artist, and everybody just calls you an artist. I saw a podcast the other day, or a video the other day, that was talking about how artists are basically told they're an artist. You know, it's not like this kid's going to be a doctor. Artists are told that this kid is an artist. So I think I just kind of ran with that as a kid, and I kind of always knew, and I got my degree in it, and then now I kind of work in it, and that's kind of my life. So
That's so cool. I love it. So, okay, let's go back to how you got to Fort Smith, because you're not from here.
no,
right?
I am not. You know,
So
I'm from Arkansas. You know, I moved around a lot as a kid in different parts of Arkansas, but I am not originally from Fort Smith. No, I came here to get my degree. I got my degree in studio art with a minor in art history from the University of Arkansas, Fort Smith. You know, I was kind of in that turning point of the university where they had the Bowman Spear building, and they had just gotten the Wingate building. And that was like such a big thing for the community. And Unexpected started right when I was kind of, the Unexpected art mural project that kind of started right when I was becoming a junior at the university. And so I feel like once that happened, we really, you know, the art scene in Fort Smith really took off. Mm-hmm. So, of course, there's always been artists here, and they're amazing. I learn about new artists every day, and I'm so happy to be interacting with them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. What a great time to be in school for art and seeing all this art come up around you.
Yes.
Because it's true, the unexpected, like completely transformed
Yeah.
the look
yeah.
and feel of downtown Fort Smith, right? Like
It did, yes. And I mean, there's always been just amazing artists in the area, of course, but the Unexpected Project, I think, there's always been Northwest Arkansas, and that's been a very big aspect as far as the art scene goes. But the Unexpected was like, hey, we're Fort Smith, and we're different than Northwest Arkansas, but we're just as good, and it put us a little bit on the map, I feel, but also it highlighted what was already here. We have local artists that also did murals for the Unexpected Project, and they were just, they're amazing. So, I feel like that highlighted what was already here, but also put us on the map a little bit too. So
that's cool.
How long have you been here at RAM?
at RAM, so I started work here in 2020, which is, kind of.
Oh, wow.
What a great time to get the museum
Man.
world, right?
Yes. Everybody was kind of doing a little bit of career shift back then,
Yeah.
So I came here in 2020, which means I've been here for 4 years in November.
Nice.
So it's honestly such a good aspect. Good situation that happened to me, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Nice.
So
How long has the Regional Art Museum been here?
The Regional Art Museum has technically been in the community for 75 years. Like I said, art has always been very integral,
That's
I think,
some
in Fort
longevity.
Smith.
I actually didn't know that.
But
I feel like really
so
shocked right now.
I tell people that, and I'm like, what? What are you
Yeah.
talking about? Actually, it's so cool because even though, they've been here for 75 years, technically 76. Yes, we've been an art museum since 2014. So that's when the Fort Smith Art Center moved into this building, which is an old federal and savings loan bank. It used to be. We still have the original vault doors and all that, which is really cool. Yes.
That's cool.
But that's when that became a museum. So when we became a museum was in 2014. So we've been a museum for about 11 years, maybe 12. So
Cool.
That's
a
awesome.
journey.
Do a lot of people, do you feel like that a lot of people come from out of town or out of state to come and visit the Fort Smith Regional Art Museum?
yes, as one of those things, I do have a lot of hats, and one of them, of course, is working the front desk every now and then. We do get a lot of people from outside of Fort Smith, and I would feel like, it's just one of those things on people's lists. They're like things to do in Fort Smith, and they're like, "There's a museum. Oh my gosh, let's go try to check it out." So we do get a lot of people from out of town, but we also get a lot of people from Fort Smith as well.
Yeah.
So it is a good mix. I would say potentially 50-50, just from my own time at the front desk. So it's a little biased. Those numbers may not be correct. But
Your exhibits change pretty often here?
yes, they do. About every 4 to 5 months, we switch out. So, we've probably had around 7 exhibits this year.
Wow.
So next year we'll have probably 7 more,
Yeah.
So every time you come, there's always something new to see. And it kind of alters whenever you come. The exhibitions kind of, they stagger. So even if you've already seen one exhibit, you can see another, seen more art.
So you've seen a lot of exhibits in your time here.
Yes.
What's
yes.
been what's like, this stood out to me. This is one of my favorite things to see.
Oh my gosh, I have a few. So my favorite exhibition that I had seen was probably, and this was actually even before I had come to the museum, as far as worked here. They had this really great exhibition where they had iPads, and it was with the university. So basically, we went into the gallery. There was iPads that you had, and it was kind of an immersive experience where you interacted with it with the iPad, and the art came alive. It was kind of like a AR type of thing. And that was right when that type of technology was kind of, really developing. And so I believe Brian Alexis with the university had, he had his students kind of create that, I believe, with like a little motion design class that he had. And got the iPad, went around the museum, looked at the different posters, and they kind of came to life. And that was my first experience, I believe, at the museum. And I was just a student then at the university. And it was really great. It was something that you just remember. And then my second favorite exhibition was actually when I already started working here. And that, of course, was the Pablo Picasso ceramics exhibition that we had for our 75th year.
That was my first visit to RAM, actually.
Gosh.
And it was great. I had no idea that Picasso did pottery. And it was super cool to walk around and learn about and just to see examples of it and to learn about his life and like pottery. I'm like, what? Because you think of Picasso, you think of like the Cubism, you think of like the...
Yes, it was a great take on that. I feel like it was something that you wouldn't see as far as Picasso artwork goes, but it was something that was just equally as amazing.
Super unique.
Yeah, unique is a really good... it was something that I didn't expect, and I think that's the reason why I enjoyed it so much.
Same here.
And I had like a behind the scenes kind of look into that whole exhibition, seeing it go up and kind of interacting with it, and that that holds a special place in my memory just because of that. Not only was it amazing, but you kind of helped it come to the community, and I feel a lot of pride, maybe.
Yeah, that's super cool.
You should. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we're all a team here at RAM. So it was everybody kind of coming together and making that a possibility for everyone to enjoy. But it just having a hand in that, I think, was really important for me to kind of grow and take more pride in my community.
Yeah. And important for our community.
Yes.
Yeah. What misconceptions do you think people have regarding art?
Regarding art, I feel that's a really hard question.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I was like, dang, gosh.
You're pulling out the stops here.
So here's my reasoning for it. Because I feel like a lot of people have this idea that art isn't accessible for them. And I really think that RAM does a good job of breaking down that barrier.
And I agree. We're very down to earth here.
Yeah.
We have a lot of free programs. We have a lot of, our admission's free. We want our community to come and enjoy basically the fruits of our community, the local artists here. And I think, I feel like one of the great things about RAM is that we're approachable. And a lot of times whenever it comes to the art world, sometimes it's not approachable. It's either, kind of not really in the downtown space, or it's not, you feel like you go in and, maybe you shouldn't be there. But, in RAM, we're so small. Everybody is very loving and we care about our community. Everything is free. And I feel like that makes us approachable.
Sorry, go ahead.
I suppose that would mean that would kind of say breaking down the barriers of art. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. And you guys offer a lot of programming for families and such too, right?
Yes. We have our weekly RAM Saturday. So that normally brings, 100 or so people here every Saturday. And those are free drop-in art projects. And every week is different. And we have a whole mix of people that come. There's a lot of families, but there's also retirees, who want to get back into doing a little bit of crafty thing. So
I love
And you
that.
guys-
big mix of people.
And you guys have paint classes too,
Yes.
correct? Like I think it's on a weeknight, right?
Yes, that's our paint and sip. And so that's always really popular.
Yeah.
We normally recreate artwork from art history. And then you not only get to leave RAM with a painting of your very own to take home, but you also get to learn a little bit more about like the artist and art history. So I think that, it's a kind of a cool spin on the paint and sip type of aspect.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And like, you guys have some involvement too with students, right? Like in the schools. Can you talk a little bit about that? And like, I know you have some homeschool activities too.
Yeah, so we do have our homeschool classes, and those are free to the public as well. And, but we also have our student art gallery, which is one of the reasons why we are able to showcase like artwork from the university, as well as artwork from local school districts. Actually in January 2025, we'll be having a show with Northside students.
Nice.
So that one will go throughout the middle of the year. So that one's going to be, phenomenal. I've already seen some pictures. And that's the thing, is that we really want to highlight these emerging artists, because part of your local and regional artists are the ones that are just getting started out, So I think that's also kind of what sets us apart potentially, is that we really focus on those younger emerging artists, because they're just as important. You need some place to exhibit your art as just a little guy.
What an experience that, finally you've been working on this piece of art and then you finally put it on the wall or put it on display on a pedestal or whatever it is for other people to look at and see. That's got to be the
high schoolers, even the college students, they always leave with such a big smile on their face.
Yeah.
And it's for them, but it's also for them to show their community that, hey, this is what we're producing here in Fort Smith. We got the education that we need in order to go places, and I think that's what's important. The education, especially when it comes to art, of course, that we learn in Fort Smith, it's top notch, I think.
Yeah. And on a personal level, I mean, you pour yourself into this piece of art, and I mean, it takes so much time depending on what you're doing, right? Like, and then to see it kind of out in the world, like affecting other people, it's a big experience for like an emerging artist. Like, do you have any stories about, art in your own life personally that kind of affected you and impacted you in positive ways, like something like this, like what RAM does for kids?
Yes, I do. I remember I used to, whenever I was a kid, I was in Russellville, and they had a little art center in Russellville whenever I was going to middle school. And we had our little paintings at this little art center by the park in Russellville. And it's been so long, I don't even remember the name of that little art center. And but I was in middle school, and I remember seeing my artwork on the wall, and it actually sold. And it was just, I think I only wanted like $20 for it, little middle school me. I didn't find out until later that it was the art teacher who had bought it. Anyway, but it was very, it was something that I even remember. I don't remember a whole lot of like my childhood, but I do remember that. It was kind of like one of those important establishing artist moments. Everybody has one of those. And I think that there's a lot of core memories, developed at RAM as far as, young artists exhibiting their work, going to an art class, RAM Saturday. I'm sure there's lots of memories made, making little crafts. And, kids always have such a big smile on their face. They must be happy making core memories, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So,
well,
great.
Kind of going a different route a little bit, but like when we say UFAS, we're talking about the University of Arkansas Fort Smith, right?
Yes.
So you went to UFAS.
I did.
And what was it like? What was your experience like as a college student here in Fort Smith? Because we've got two universities here. We have AIC, which is the Arkansas Colleges of Health Education. And then we've got UFAS. What's it like being a college student here? And how did your education at UFAS impact your life?
So that's a really great question. And honestly, I have only positive things to say about the University of Arkansas Fort Smith. I think that it was one of those pivotal moments for me, as it is with every young person, So just to give you a kind of reference, I think I graduated in 2017, if I remember correctly, with my bachelor's in arts. And so it's quite a bit ago. But at the same time, I feel like at that point, the university was really coming together as an art-centric, in my opinion, as an art-centric university. They right now, currently, they're getting that new space on the Wingate building. But whenever I was going to college, they were actually constructing the Wingate building. There was the Kincaid Annex before, and then everybody was in the Ballman Spear. And the Ballman Spear building was kind of like one of those little down-to-earth buildings that, you go in and it smells like mineral spirits. And it's just, it's got a nice little quaint painting space. You really got to know every single one of your classmates. I mean, that was a tight fit. And so you had to talk to the students. You had to talk to your classmates. And I felt like that got me out of my bubble. There was always events going on. I lived on campus, so there was so many events. There was like movies on the green, and there was the block party, and there was like midnight breakfast. And so you got to meet a lot of other college students. And to this day, I meet those people that I met in college, and they're still here in Fort Smith, some of them. And it's just to see the progression of, where I came from, where we came from, and then now we're still here, watering our grass in Fort Smith to make sure that it's greener. It's just one of those things that you can't believe how much time has passed, but also you're so glad that, we grow. And I think that, having that basis at the university and making those connections there, and then, it kind of helps set the basis of the connections that I have now. And I know that that's a very typical response to a question like that. It's because it's true.
Yeah.
What they say. I believe going to college is all about learning about your community and learning how to be a part of something larger than yourself. And after I graduated, I volunteered a lot. And I believe if I wouldn't have volunteered, if I wouldn't have gotten those connections, then I wouldn't have gotten my first job. And so, I volunteered at, now it's Arts on Main, but I volunteered at the Center for Art and Education back in the day.
Yeah.
Got my first job there. So if I wouldn't have volunteered, then I wouldn't have gotten my first job. And if I wouldn't have gotten my first job there, then I wouldn't have gotten my job here. And so it's like,
it's wild how all these little connections happen.
But those connections started at UFAS. So, going to the little art shows, meeting up with, that's the executive director over at such and such place. Well, let me go ahead and volunteer over there. It really is about the connections that you make and what you're able to grow. There was a lot of work involved, obviously, but I feel like UFAS really helped set that groundwork in a way that was not only here's how to do art, right? But in a way of like meeting and connecting with people and coming out of my shell.
Yeah.
Because I felt like obviously I learned how to do art much, much, much more skillfully, of course. But I feel like as far as like talking to people in a certain way and making connections, I felt like that was the most important
professional side.
Yeah, the professional side, but also like everybody says they want to be an artist, but nobody really thinks about, I want to work at a museum. I want to install exhibitions. As a kid, your little sphere isn't that big yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you do in the art field?
Yeah.
So
opens up the possibilities.
Yeah.
That's a great
Learned
point.
about that in college and I kind of applied that.
That's great.
So why did you decide to stay in Fort Smith after you graduated? Because you're not from here, right? And I feel like graduating college is like the perfect opportunity to kind of go wherever you want or go back to where you were, or what made you choose to stay? And you've talked about other people choosing to stay. Like, is there a common thread between?
I think there is a common thread, and I would like to kind of say it as this: Fort Smith is in its what I call its Goldilocks era. You know, it's not too big, but it's also not too small. It's growing, you know, and you can go to other places that their grass is already green. Their grass is flourishing. There's already flowers in the field. Or you can go to a place and help that grass grow, you know, water the grass, tend to it, and kind of help it along. And of course, the grass is the community, right? So the grass is greener where you water it.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing about Fort Smith, is that it's that Goldilocks era.
Yeah.
I feel like I have an opportunity to help the community reach a higher goal.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I went somewhere else, then I wouldn't have that opportunity. And I know that, you know, that seems a little bit, oh, Bridget chose the easy path, but no, it's I want to have a role in something bigger. And I think that's what I'm trying to say. And Fort Smith, I can do that. I can have a role in something that's bigger.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love talking to an artist because, you know, you use such beautiful imagery.
And everything's a metaphor. It's gorgeous.
And I can see it.
I love it.
I'm like, yes, I'm on board with that.
Like now you know why I refer to her as the amazing Bridget Duncan, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's one thing that struck me, because I think I met you. You know, our also amazing social media coordinator, Joanna Hernandez. I'm giving her a shout out for the second time
Joanna's
on the podcast.
Yes.
Because I just adore her and she's fantastic. But you know her, and you guys both went to UFAS different times, I think.
Yes.
But,
I believe I know her through a common thread. Actually, the common thread used to work with me at the Center for Art and Education. So, you know, it is such a small world.
Yeah, it is.
But that's how I met Joanna. And so, yeah.
But I met you at the like a meeting that we all have with the attractions to kind of talk about what's going on in Fort Smith, and like Joanna had mentioned you to me, and I was like, oh, that must be her, you know. And one thing that struck me about you from the very beginning was just your positivity about Fort Smith and your love for the city and your desire to give and put in and to make it better. Because it's easy to complain and not do anything. But
you know, you say that. I feel like I hadn't always been like that. You know, sometimes whenever you graduate from college, you don't always see the beauty in everything. And I feel like once I started to live in Fort Smith, not just be at college in Fort Smith, I started recognizing its beauty a little bit more. You know, I wasn't always positive, but I feel like becoming a part of something bigger made me become positive. Because I wasn't always happy-go-lucky, but I felt like once I started investing in my community, that's when the happiness came from. It was the happiness of being a part of something more than yourself. And that's going to sound really cliche.
I don't
but
think
it's
so.
true.
I don't think so. Well, I think it's so easy to complain and just to kind of rest in the complaint and just kind of be content with that.
I definitely had my fair share of complaining.
But I do think that like acknowledging a problem or a challenge and then saying, you know what, but I have the power to help.
Yes.
Or like I have the power to stand up and kind of do something about this. Like I think that's really empowering and powerful. And
really
I do
is.
think it changes perspective. Like when you start to get involved and see like, I can make this
You
better.
see the change. You start to see it happen. Then you're like, wait, actually, I can play a bigger role in what I'm doing right now. And I think that's the great thing about being in the Goldilocks era of Fort Smith is that I felt like if I went to a larger place and I didn't see the change right away, then I would become bitter and leave, right? But Fort Smith started putting in a little bit of effort, started putting a little bit of community service, also just the effort that I put into RAM, and started to see the change. And I was like, oh,
it's happening.
It's happening. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm so happy about this. I'm part of something. I can make things, I can improve things. I can make things better. I can highlight what's already here. And I felt like because I found that, that's actually what made me stay.
Yeah.
Because I can have a part in something that's bigger. And
in the middle of giving and serving to make something better and to change something, it changed you in the process too.
I think I should really stress that. Because I wasn't always like this.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like whenever I started becoming a part of something that was larger than myself, that's when I started becoming positive. And also just willing to do more, you know, and that, you know, sometimes whenever you're a small town girly, you know, I was a small town girly. I lived in Cohill before I moved to Fort Smith. You know, there's not those opportunities to create something more. Yeah. And maybe there is, and I didn't find them. Maybe I was too young to find them, but I did find them here in Fort Smith, and I feel like that's what's making me stay, is the aspect of, you know, there's something bigger to be achieved by living here. And I can make that happen.
Well, I think there's also something to be said in finding your people, right? Because like there's, to me, in my experience, there's no better way to find your people and to find kind of your chosen family than by serving with other people, like in the trenches and being on some type of mission together.
Yes.
It bonds you with people and it creates this sense of community. And I think that's also such an important thing that can change us too.
And you say that because, you know, I found community here in Fort Smith. You know, there's artists, there's poets in Fort Smith, and I know them by name. They know me by name. Whoa. And, you know, we share art and we share poetry. We share so many different things. And that's the reason why, you know, Goldilocks era, again, because I can see somebody from the poetry slam, the Fort City slam, actually, I should probably say. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Hunter. And I just know everyone who's coming to the poetry slam. If it was a larger town, I feel like it would be not as approachable. Yeah. But since we're in that Goldilocks era, I feel like it's you're just now learning about everyone who you see someone and you know their name. Yeah. And that's important, I feel. But at the same time, there's also a lot of room to meet new people and still have that original community.
Well, and it's small enough too that you can maintain those connections. Because I think there was a couple months ago, we were recording podcasts at the Majestic, and we were kind of in between or before maybe we started recording, and I was talking about living in Austin. And I think something that we don't talk about a lot is loneliness. And I think people, like all of us, experience loneliness at different stages in our lives, right? And I lived in Austin for almost 10 years, and I experienced some incredibly lonely times in that period because it was hard to find my people because there were so many people and so many things to do. And I am not hating on that city. I think it's a great place and I love it. But I have found that in Fort Smith, to your point, it is easier to connect and to find people and to maintain the relationship and to have these points of contact where you're able to like stay connected over periods of time. And I think that's so valuable.
Definitely.
Yeah. So valuable. And
definitely.
Yeah, because I do think we live in a time of profound loneliness. You know, we're connected through screens and technology and like all of these things, but like the actual community sense where we're together and we know each other deeply and we support each other.
I think that's such an important, like the way that you said that. because to me, I felt like I've never been more at home than in Fort Smith. And I know that again, is just highlighting why I stayed and whatnot. But, all you have to really do is just go down to the coffee company, Fort Smith Coffee Company, and then you see people there and they're like, oh my gosh, hello again. It's been a whole 24 hours since I seen you last. And I was like, because I got a coffee again at the same exact time. And the thing is that some of these people, I'm like, I know their name just because I see them at the coffee shop and we strike up conversations and I'm like, it's just so easy to do that because our places are so much smaller. We have downtown, we have Chaffee, there's these little pockets of community in Fort Smith. And I feel like in other areas, there's not these pockets. And I'm sure as Fort Smith grows, these pockets will still remain, and I feel like downtown is a pocket. I feel Fort Chaffee is a pocket. And, we exchange little people between those things. And I think that's great. And then, of course, over there by Fiona is a little pocket as well with Ake and all the great things that happen over there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of little pocket communities that you can really interact with. But even just going down to the coffee shop, I feel like I know so many more people. Even going to the Walmart.
Even going to Harps. My husband and I, we see the same guy every time. We're like, hey, Chris, what's up? How's it going? How's school? How's life? And I mean, we don't like hang out like after work or anything, but I know this guy who works at Harps. We see each other all the time. It's kind of crazy. And I feel like there's so much room and space here for collaboration.
Yeah.
And in really cool ways that wouldn't really be possible in like a bigger
there's a lot of camaraderie and such.
Yeah. A lot of camaraderie is really true. I feel like another great thing about Fort Smith is that, and this is going to sound, the people are nice here. I don't know how to say it.
They're just nice.
They're nice. Whenever you meet them in person. And so they're, people are nice to one another. I mean, I'll crack a joke and I'll a couple aisles over, people will laugh at it. And I'm like, okay, all right.
They're probably like, oh, there's Bridget.
Yeah. So I feel like that's the great thing about Fort Smith is that people are nice here. It's Goldilocks, not too big, not too small, but growing, and you can have a place here.
Yeah. So I kind of want to know what you like to do here. We talked about work, we talked about school and community and all that. Like, what do you do for fun?
I think you like the coffee shop.
I think you like the coffee shop. That's for sure.
But too much.
You can never be too much. Let's be real.
So I do like the coffee shop, Fort Smith Coffee Co., of course.
What's your primary location?
So that's a good question. It just depends. I do love the original location. And just because those tables are so large, you can just spread out with all your art supplies.
Towson, that one? Like at Towson
over
and Garrison?
on, I say the original location because that was the first one that opened up. And I remember it. It was in 2017, I believe. And they had just opened up. And I mean, I went there almost immediately because, we needed a little coffee shop. And so, but it was downtown. And that's why it's called the original location, in my opinion, and to all my artsy girly friends as well. But I can get a whole group of artists and we can go down to one of those big tables at the original location and just spread out, The bakery district is really great if you want like a little one-on-one meeting or something like that. They definitely have a really nice atmosphere over there. Wish the tables were a little bit bigger, but we can't all have big tables. Every location has its own thing.
I think like the outdoor tables are big, but the indoors more that like cafe, like intimate cafe.
Yes, and again, I'm just
personal preferences.
Exactly, personal preferences.
We're entitled to those, right?
Yes. But I love each location for its own thing. And then I recently went to the Murals Museum one. And that one, oh my gosh, such a pretty view of the riverfront.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Speaking of the riverfront, I love the riverfront. Me and the riverfront.
BFFs for life.
Yeah, BFFs for life.
That's a beautiful trail.
Yes.
It's well maintained. Yeah.
Do you ride your bike there? Because I see you on your bike.
Yes, I commute via bike. I do all sorts of things on my little bike. But the riverfront's where I go to just kind of exercise. It's really well maintained. And not only that, it's I feel like it's some of the best views of Fort Smith. And I see so many people walking that they just know me. And so I'm on my little bike, and the little bikers, we nod to each other as we go by. And that's, in a way, that's a sense of community as well. So I feel like the riverfront is also one of my favorite places to go, just to do a little bit of exercise and see the sunset. Honestly, that's the time when I go, when the sun is setting, and I take my little Instagram photo, and I'm a dreamer.
Spot.
Okay,
Love it. Hey, love me some dreamers. It's cool.
It's a beautiful spot.
And so the riverfront, Fort Smith Coffee Co. If somebody was to come to Fort Smith, that's the places where we're going.
Yeah.
I also enjoy Creekmore Park. Of course, that one's an all-time favorite. Especially now, they're doing so many things that are new over there, and so I believe they're doing some construction and
on
that's
the pools,
really
I think, right? Like,
Pool house.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they got the mini golf and the train.
There really is
playgrounds.
something always to do. And I mean, obviously I'm a little bit older. So, I'm there for the
You're
trails.
talking to us, Bridget. Like, you're good, girl.
I'm there for the trails.
I mean, you're talking to me, Bridget.
I'm not over there on the jungle gym. At least I shouldn't be,
You're not? I mean,
I would
Where's Josh again? Over there
on the jungle gym. Doing his thing.
Just leave him be.
So I enjoy Little Creekmore Park, and then there's a Sweet Bay right beside it, so I can get a little drink with the park. Come on.
Awesome
Get you a little
spot.
breakfast, a little coffee, walk right over.
My gosh,
I have
yes.
done that several times.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoy it.
Love.
Very
So that's
cool.
one of my favorite things to do. And then obviously I love some of the little local shops around here. There's always some amazing stuff.
Yeah. And there's some great little art boutiques and things like Hidden Treasures, like the Akib Art Studio over here on 6th across from the Clayton House.
Yeah.
It is so neat. I love that
The little
place.
fabric pieces
Yes.
that Mudray makes.
And like Gallery on Garrison is great. You can just go walk down Garrison and like pop in there and see some like local art. Right? Is it all local art in Gallery on Garrison?
We do have a lot of local art galleries in Fort Smith. I believe that one, and then also Hidden Talent Fine Art Gallery. Yeah. So there's quite a bit of things other than just RAM, of course.
Yeah.
So there's just so much to do, especially downtown. I am very fond of a free moment. But if it has a little bit of coffee, then I'll pay some stuff. Maybe I'll throw a
now we all know how to
Yeah.
bribe Bridget.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if you need anything, it's coffee for her.
Coffee, just say it. I enjoy the riverfront. I enjoy Creekmore and Sweet Bay, and of course, Fort Smith Coffee Co. So that's my favorite things.
Cool.
Nice.
In Fort Smith, very downtown. Of course, I do the commuting via bike. So, all very close to one another. But honestly, you have everything that you need just within that little sector, I think.
Very cool.
So we got the little farmer's market,
Oh yeah.
veggies. So anyway.
Thank you so much
Yes.
for being on the podcast today.
Of course. I thank you so much for inviting me. Hopefully I was able to bring some lovely notes.
Yeah,
It
no,
was
it was great.
amazing.
I've
Thank
loved
you.
getting to know you, like through our, crossings within the community.
Oh,
And,
yes.
really appreciate you being on and sharing your perspective, and just for all the work you guys do here at
Yes.
RAM and bringing great art to the community, because it's so important.
It really is, I think. It's one of those things to do in Fort Smith. And it's always great whenever, and maybe I should, I'm going to do another plug here. It's free. Okay. And there's something important to be said about free, I feel. And so even if you don't feel like there's anything to do, you can always come down to the art museum, look at some art, maybe do a craft on a Saturday. We also have scavenger hunts, and I feel like that accessibility is the most important part.
It's huge.
This is where I would be if I didn't work here.
Yeah.
And what I mean is that I come all the time, but I mean, this is where I would be doing for fun.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Well, thanks, Bridget. We really appreciate you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys.